You've lived inside these walls for years. Put in the work, now it's time to shift gears. Don't leave your money on the table tonight. We're gonna price it up and get tired of venting and just throwing your money away. Dream of the day when you can tell your landlord bye, buy you and buy your own home. It doesn't have to be a dream, you can make it. Oh yes, even. Duo will show you the way to home ownership. This is where your dream comes true. This is where you learn what to do to own your home and start living American dream. When you can tell your realtor, Stephen Dale will help you make it happen.
Woohoo.
Tired of venting and just throwing your money away. Dream of the day when you can tell your landlord bye, buy you and buy your own home. It doesn't have to be a dream, you can make it. Oh yes, even. Duo will show you the way to home ownership. This is where your dream comes true. This is where you learn what to do to own your home and start living American dream. When you can tell your realtor, Stephen Dale will help you make it happen.
Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, welcome. My name is Steve Dow. I'm the real estate whisperer. And folks to well with Dow. All right, and Sammy. And Sammy, too. Sammy's a good boy. Ain't you? Say hi, Sammy. Say hi. Ah, yeah. Okay. Tonight, we're going to do something so exciting. We're going to be talking about going from being a renter and throwing your money away month after month after month to owning your own home. And folks, there's nothing like it. It's amazing. It's a big of an event in your life as having your children, getting married. It's monumental. It really is. And it's going to change everything. And it's awesome. But most people think that they have to have a huge down payment or at least several $1,000s. And that is not true. And I'm not talking about some subprime interest rate loan or fly-by-night company or anything like that. This is all on the up and up. And I have sold as agent or broker hundreds of customers just like you who thought they could not buy. And they can. Okay, so let's get down to it. Here in Skokie, I'm just learning that word, Southern Kentucky, there is a loan that all the banks and mortgage companies carry. You can walk into your bank and you can mention an RHS or a USDA loan. They will know exactly what you're talking about. Okay? And that's zero down, no money down. And it's available throughout Skokie except in the city of Bowling Green. Okay? The city of Bowling Green is not rural. I don't know if it's considered suburban or urban, but it's not rural. So homes in that area will not count. Now, if you've got a home in mind and you don't know if it would count or not, the government, USDA, has a website that you can go to. And I believe it's USDA.gov. You can put in the address and it'll tell you just like that if that home qualifies for the loan. Sellers, it'd be wise of you to check and see if your own home is. But good news, everywhere else, we don't have to check. We know if you're in Franklin, Russellville, Glasgow, Cave City, Morgantown, Brownsville, Horse Cave, you qualify. Okay? Scottsville, you qualify. Okay? And if you're in Warren County, there's a good chance that you qualify too. All right. So that's the rural housing loan. It is zero down. The house has to meet some requirements besides location. Okay? But they're fairly easy. And unless you're looking at a home built in the earlier part of the 1900s, it's probably going to, qualify. And even if it was built then, it could still qualify. The age is not a factor. It's just that home was built in the 30s and 40s, didn't always have a heat source in the bedroom. That's a requirement. They didn't always have 18 inches in the crawl space. Stairs didn't always have railings. However, that's a very easy fix. Okay? But one of the other things is everything has to be in working condition. Not mint, not new, but working. And the reason for that, this loan came about after the 2008 crash. And at that time, the reason for the crash was so many people defaulted on their mortgages. And the reason for that is they should have never got those mortgages to begin with. They didn't qualify. And they were put in high interest, subprime rate loans. Many had balloon payments. And when the balloon payment came due, it's massive. I knew of one person had a $40,000 balloon payment. So those homes repossessed all at once. And so the government came in and said, okay, we're going to come up with this loan here. We're going to back it. But we're not going to put people in a loan where they're set up to fail. So they're not going to finance a house. Now, get what I said there. I didn't say they wouldn't finance you. I said they won't finance a house with a lot of issues that would cause you to be overwhelmed and have a lot of debt and be in a money pit. And you wouldn't want that anyway. So that's a great thing that a home has to actually qualify for the loan. Okay? That protects you, the buyer. So that is the rural housing loan. Again, any bank, any mortgage company has it. Now, what if you got your heart set on a home in the city of Bowling Green, but you don't have any money? I got you covered. Okay? So, there is another program, and it's through the state of Kentucky. Rural housing is through the federal government. Kentucky housing is through Kentucky. Makes sense. Okay. And so, what they will do, and the good news is, if you qualify for one, you'll qualify for the other. Okay? So, what they will do is they will loan you your down payment, basically, is how it works. It's called down payment assistance, but it's a loan for the down payment. So you would have your normal mortgage, and then you would have a much smaller loan on the $12,500, and that can cover your down payment, closing costs. However, if you let me be your realtor, we're going to get the seller to pay those closing costs. So you won't have to worry about that. So it's a great program. It's available anywhere in Kentucky. So you do not have to worry about the location at all. Okay? Just remember, it's not a grant. It's a loan. And I hate to tell you, but we missed the Welcome Home grant. Too late. But there's always next year. So you want to hit that follow button so you can find out about these great deals. Okay? Now, that down payment assistance loan, it's paid back over 15 years. Folks, that's not even $1,000 a year. So it's gonna be a very small payment, nothing to get upset about, and it gets you in the house with no money out of your pocket. And so, what do you need to qualify? Typically, almost always, you need a 620 credit score. You must meet credit limits, and this is not, you make too less, you can't make too much, okay? But if you made too much, you wouldn't need this kind of loan anyway, okay? You gotta have a good income to debt ratio. I believe it's 41%, meaning that your payment with taxes and insurance included can only be 41%, and I believe it's of your gross income, what you make before taxes. Okay? I could be wrong. It could be net. Ask your loan officer. Okay? It must be your primary residence. You can't do this to rent it out and make money. It's not what this is for. Okay? For Kentucky housing, of course, you must use a KHC approved lender. Now, I said that about rural housing. All the banks, I believe, and mortgage companies carry rural housing. Not all carry the Kentucky housing. I really like Leah Hughes with Atlantic Bank Mortgage. She covers both. Okay. All right. Single parents often do qualify because their household income fits the limits. Okay. Just 1 second. Let me get a drink. I'm a little dry. Okay. Excuse me. I told you I'm the real estate whisperer. This is important. It's going to save you potentially tens of thousands of dollars. The first step is to get pre-approved. That's going to save you money when you make the offer, and it will save you money on your loan. It saves you money on the offer because if you have that pre-approval to the seller, it's just like you have cash, and they get a lot more willing to negotiate. It's going to save you money on the loan because if you go look at a house and you want to buy that house and then you go to the bank, well, they got you. You don't have time to shop around. So you're not going to get the best deal. Getting pre-approved is the critical first step. Okay? Once you have your loan secured, it's go time. It's time to get out there and start looking at homes. Now, this is important. I have worked, like I said, with hundreds of buyers. And if you go, I know you want to see 10 houses, and that's fine. But not all at once. Because if you have a marathon sprint to 5, 6, 7, 8 houses, first of all, you're not going to have time to really look. Okay? Secondly, you're going to be thoroughly confused at the end of the day. Everything's going to run together. You're not going to know which end is up. And it's just going to be a mess. Now, if I'm showing you houses, I try to alleviate that by having you paperwork on every home so you know exactly at the end of the day what has what and what you saw where. However, it's still not a good idea. It's just too confusing. You need some time to process. You do not want to rush into buying a house. You want to be sure that that's the one for you. Okay? So, let's see where I'm at. And then, at the end of the day, determine if any of the 2 or 3 are the one for you. And once you have seen a home that you're seriously considering, here's how you know it's the one. Ask yourself this question. If you delay and you don't make the offer right now, and then you call me back tomorrow, and I say, I'm sorry, that home's already under contract, how would you feel? Would you be disgusted and think, oh, I've lost my house? Or would it be like, well, shucks, let's keep on looking? If it's, oh, shucks, we need to keep on looking, it's not the one. But if in your heart you would feel remorse, like you lost your home, sorry, then that's the one for you. You don't need to question it. You don't need to question it any further. That's the one. Sammy, hush. He sees somebody outside. All right. Now, when it's time to make your offer, the first thing we want to look at is the DOM. What is that? That's the days on market. We want to look at the price per square foot. We want to take into consideration any special features. A basement, a garage, extra in the backyard. It's called an auxiliary garage. Fencing in the backyard is a nice feature. Storage building, that adds some value. Okay? You want to, don't make an offer off the hip. Look at the comps. If prices are $150 a square foot, like they are in Glasgow, you're not going to get it for $120. Why would the seller do that? Okay? Now, that being said, if the days on market are a week or less, if you want that house, you better offer full price, because those sellers still believe they can get it. If the house is 30, 60 days old, there's going to be some wiggle room probably. More at 90 and 90 plus, you never know. Now I've got a special trick that I use when making an offer, but it's too good. I'm not going to share it here, or my competitors can get hold of it. Okay? But I'm just going to say, if you want to buy a home and you want to save money, you better be calling me. Okay, 606 425 3640. All right. And if you're a seller and want to get top dollar, you better be calling me. All right. Now, earnest money is important and it confuses almost everybody. When you make this offer, you're asking the seller to take the home off the market so nobody else can buy it. And that's a big risk for a seller. And they typically, and if I'm a listing agent, they always want some earnest money. So here's how that would work with no money down. Typically, when I've got a customer who's doing no money down, I can get the seller to agree to accept $250 in earnest money. Now, that money goes into my escrow account, my brokers, Luke Williams. And at that point, no one can touch it. We can't touch it. You can't touch it. The seller can't touch it. It stays in the escrow account till the closing. Now, if you break the contract, in other words, look at that, you get cold feet and just back out. You do lose that earnest money because the seller is at a sale that they could have possibly had you not really wasted their time. Okay? But if your financing changes and you're no longer satisfied with it, you don't like the home inspection, or there's a problem with the title, I get you your earnest money back. Okay, now, let's say you don't back out, the deal goes through. You're gonna get your $250 back at closing. So it's basically, you're just lending the seller the money. As long as you go through the contract, you're not gonna lose it. You're not gonna actually spend it. Okay? All right. Now, I think I just said, but I'll repeat it to make sure. We're going to make the offer contingent upon a clear title. That means if the title's not clear, you don't have to buy it. Because if the title's not clear and you do buy it, guess what? You didn't borrow that money, but now that you own that property, you owe that money. It's not fair, but that's the way it is. We're going to make it contingent on your satisfaction with a home inspection. Do you have to do a home inspection? No, but you better. I have never, ever seen anyone not do a home inspection who did not regret it. Take that under advisement. How much is a home inspection? Well, they vary. It depends on the location, who you use, and how big the house is. But typically, you're looking at $400 to $600. Money well spent. Okay. We want to make sure that when we make an offer, we look at the deed description and make sure that what they say in the listing is correct. Okay? And 95% of the time it is, but there's that 5% where it's not. So we gotta watch that. If it's acreage, we may need a survey. And if we do, we're going to ask the seller to buy it, pay for it. Okay? But if it's just a lot in the city or a lot in the subdivision, it should be fine. All right. Speaking of inspections, going back, you're paying this man to find what's wrong with the house. He's going to find some things wrong. I don't care if the house is brand new. He's going to find some little things. That's normal. That's normal. What we have to look at is how expensive they are to repair and how important they are to repair. A roof, that's majorly important. A light switch not working, that's an easy, cheap fix that can be taken care of like that for less than $100. And we ask the seller to do it. It's very simple. If the inspection shows water in the crawl space, that can be, listen to me, can be a major concern. But most of the time, and I just showed a house this Saturday with this exact situation, most of the time, it's a very easy, very cheap fix because the seller does not have the water directed away from the house at the downspout. Realtors, when you list a house, you are doing your seller a huge disservice if you do not check that and make sure that the downspouts are drawing water away from the house. That house Saturday had the foundation crumbling in one corner for a very easy, simple fix. And as a matter of fact, the drip tray was there. It was 3 inches away from the house, and the downspout was letting all the water go straight down. All it had to be was pushed back. What a shame. All right, let's see. I think we're getting close to the end of that. All right. Always get a title search. Do not worry. If you're financing with no money down, you're going to get a title search. And it's going to be included in your closing costs. Now, once that title search is done, and that's where they check to make sure there's no liens on the property. Once that title search is, or once the appraisal is done, and it's not done the day they come out, it's done 2 or 3 weeks later. No, excuse me, sorry. It's done 5 to 7 days later. Then likely you will close in 2 to 3 weeks. So you know you're getting close. Never buy a home on land contract. More than 90% of all land contracts end with the buyer losing everything. So if your credit's horrible and you don't have that 640 score for a rural housing loan, then wait 2 years or 3 if you've let a house repossess, and you can buy another home with this loan. Okay? Beware of FSBOs for sale by owners. They're for sale by owner because those people don't want to pay anybody to do anything. Okay? That means they're cheap. That means when the house needed repairs, they probably didn't call a plumber or electrician. They probably put some duct tape on it and let it go. They're supposed to fill out a seller's disclosure. They rarely do. So beware FSBOs. They may look like a great deal because there's an issue. Okay? Now, here are the 3 biggest regrets that home buyers tell me after the closing. And we'll close with this. Buying too small. First time home buyers are scared to death of that payment. Understandably so. And so they often buy less than they really could afford just to play it safe. I totally get it. Did the same thing. But then life happens and they regret not having a bigger home. So you may think your first home will be your forever home. Odds are it won't. They ignore the commute. You don't want to be stuck in a car 1-2 hours a day. It's no fun. And the last one, they regret not checking the neighborhood at night. Things change when the sun goes down and the creepy crawlies come out. I shouldn't say creepy crawlies, but you see a lot more about a neighborhood at night than you do during the day. So that's it. I really hope this was a blessing to you. It helped, it encouraged, it got you excited. And I really, really hope that if you decide to make the move from renter to owner, you will call me. Now, just to get you excited, I've got a website where you can see everything. And it's better than Zillow. And it's better than Realtor.com because it is linked directly to our local MLS. And what that means is the information is always updated and correct. You may see a home on Zillow and the price has changed and you don't know that. You're seeing no one. You may see a home on Realtor that's sold already and it doesn't show that. So go to my website, realtorstephendow.kw.com, and you'll be glad you did. Folks, too well with Dow. My number, 606-425-3640.